Nani. Rooney! Oh, wonderful! Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli. Aguero!
Good afternoon. Sava here from Football Heritage TV. Hope everybody is well. How are you all doing? So it's now Thursday afternoon and still no manager. The season finished 4 days ago. What's happening? Is it going to be Postecoglou? That's not what we're talking about today, though. Although, get your questions in. Any questions you want to get in about transfers? We're going to be going through transfers now. And as always, I will say, the transfer rumours we're about to talk about aren't so much rumours as what Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein have put out. So these are actual things that are happening. So please smash the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already as we chase down the magical 6,000 mark. I'm looking to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. So we've got 6 months to get another 4,000. Can we do it? I'm sure we can. Let's see who we've got in the house at the moment. We have got Top G14 has said Messi's departure was confirmed by Gautier in the pre-match conference already. Where will Lionel Messi end up? Interesting one, that. Where will he end up? I hope it's Tottenham. I'm joking. I'm joking, of course. I hope it's Barcelona. I think he's got unfinished business there. I think it was very sad how it was all ended. But can any human being turn down £400 million a year in salary? We'll see. Hater of the Glazer, one of my favourite names here, has said, big up, Sava. I've got antibiotics for my tonsillitis. I knew you were worried sick. I was very, very worried about your tonsillitis. So I'm glad you got that sorted. Pain like Bane has said, better get soon. Okay, he's talking about that. Drewzilla has said, big up Sava, loving these shows. Listen, loving putting these shows on. Paul has said, been a minute, Sava, hope all is well. Proud to be a Geordie. I wonder who he supports. Has said, get the likes up, people. Support Sava and his hairline. Nothing wrong with my hairline. I don't know. It's actually getting a bit thin, isn't it? And I've got to the stage now. I don't even put anything in it. Lewis has got all the stress of the world on his shoulders. 13 or 14-year-old Spurs fan. You shouldn't be that worried about football, Lewis. Don't worry about it. Spurs are rubbish. They always will be. You'll be fine. Phil P is in the house, the leader of the Phil army. There's an army of Phils who support Tottenham and come into all the videos. This happens to be the leader of them. He is our very own Daniel Levy. He is the Daniel Levy of the Phils. Sorry, Phil. See you next week for Nando's. Junior, as Jay Junior said, love your video, Sava. Thank you very much. Smash them likes like your missus. Brilliant. I like that. Do that. Who has said, Zach has said, he's sick of football. Money hungry, money grabbing, gets everywhere. But Zach, you're here, you're watching a football YouTube channel. Surely we can't fall out of love with football. Where do we go from there? Phil P has said, get your questions in. I will try and answer as many of them as possible. If I don't read your question out immediately, it doesn't mean I've not seen it, by the way. It means that I am starring and I will come back to it. And we will be joined by Strasbourg Steve, the man that supports every club in Europe, ensuring sadness and happiness all the time. So he will be joining us shortly. He's got a good knowledge of the European game. So we'll start talking about players in a minute. Before we do, Proud to be a Geordie has said he's hearing that Tielemans is going to Villa. Spurs should be in there. I'll be honest with you, Proud to be a Geordie. I don't want Tielemans. I feel that we've got too many players already that can't run. I think that would be my worry, is I would like to see some legs put into that midfield. And everyone who knows me, they know I like talking about legs. We need some energy. We need some legs. We need some energy. We need some engines. I'm just not sure that's right for us. I don't mind him as a footballer. I just don't know if that's right. However, what I will say is, how can Spurs go and get anyone when we don't have a manager or a director of football? I say bring back this guy, David Ginola, the love of my life. My footballing life, should I say. Let's have a look. Phil did ask a question. Where was the question from Phil P? Phil P has said, is the Saliba wage demands and contract situation a real problem for the Woolwich? I mean, look, I'm not frozen for everyone else. I froze for myself. I'm not going to pretend I know loads about the situation. What I would say is they've got to get whatever that situation is sorted, Phil, because that guy is a top centre half. Saliba is what our fans think Romero is, but I won't open that can of worms. I'm just saying Saliba for me is a top player. I think he's going to be a world-class centre-back in the future. And I think that they need to do whatever they can to resolve whatever that situation is. Lewis has said, what club would Dyer likely go to if we were to sell him? This is a great question, Lewis. My worry is that I don't think the club will. If they do, I'm thinking, and apologies if there's any Everton fans, I'm thinking Everton. I'm thinking maybe Sheffield United. I don't know. I presume probably that Sheffield United's back four is better than ours. So I don't know is the honest answer, Lewis. And the next question would be, how much would we charge for him? All I know is I do not want him to get a new contract. And with Daniel Levy, these things worry me that he will do that. Big up everyone in the chat. There's 130 of you in here already and only 32 likes. Smash the like button. Respect the work ethic going in. Let's have a look. Who else we got in the chat? Good evening, Joseph O'Hanlon. Lovely picture there. And I said, good evening, Sava, from a Chelsea fan. Good evening to you as well. Good evening. Look after Pochettino. Rob Belcher said, hi, Sava. I can get used to these daily updates. Big up. I'm here for you all summer. I'm here for you, Rob, just for you. Here's a good one. I was going to come on to Kovacic a bit later, but let's start with Kovacic as one of the main transfer stories. So it looks like it's nearly a done deal that Kovacic is going to Man City. And of course, that's going to throw the question out there, isn't it, as to what happens with Calvin Phillips. Now, for anyone who knows Man City and watches how Pep works, most of the time, players come into the squad when they're new players. First year, they're used as a bit of a lot of substitute appearances, a few games here, then resting to learn the Pep Guardiola way of football, to learn the Man City ethos. And then the second year, they get more games. With Calvin Phillips, I'm not sure that was ever going to be the case. And that's because him and Rodri are two completely different players. And Rodri, for me, is the best player in the Premier League. People will argue that. I just think this guy is amazing. I think what he does for City, I don't think anyone else in the league could do it. But the drop-off when they go from Rodri to Calvin Phillips is huge, and the different type of player he is. Now, let's factor Kovacic into that. And Fabrizio Romano saying that the Kovacic deal is basically done. I think they're just discussing personal terms, which, let's be really, really honest, Romano has said this. Where is it? What did Romano say? I can't see where it is now, but he did say that it was basically nearly done. What does that mean for here we go. More on Mateo Kovacic and Man City's news revealed yesterday. I've been told the agreement on the personal team's terms between Kovacic and City are close, almost completed. Man City and Chelsea will be in direct contact to discuss the fee. Now, you would suspect that with Man City being involved, there'll be no issue with a fee. You would suspect that he'll probably end up at Man City. Would I take Calvin Phillips at Spurs? I don't think so. I think that we've got too many of those midfield types. I think the next players that go in need to be ball players with a good engine, players that get the ball down and play. I'm not against it. I mean, if Spurs bought in Calvin Phillips, then depending on what the new manager wants, what the ethos is from the director of football. But at the moment, it's really difficult to say, Rico, because I don't know. We don't know who the manager is. And that's a real stumbling block when talking about new players. Davey and Pam Beveridge, a joint account. Love that. Very romantic. Has said, if the rumours are correct, Ange Postecoglou will be on a 1-year rolling contract. Anyone else seeing the problem in this? Levy giving himself a backup plan when he fails to support another manager. Yes, that is absolutely a worry. I would like to think that if Postecoglou was offered a 1-year rolling contract, I would like to think that he's sensible enough to say no. For me, we need to get a manager that needs to stay here for 3, 4, 5 years and build something. So good shout that, Davey. I see the problems massively. Where are we? Let's see if we've got. What do people think? Tell me in the chat. What do you think about Kovacic going to Man City? I mean, it's a no-brainer for him, right? You know, you're going from some shaky times at Chelsea to the best team in Europe, potentially after their Champions League final. Don't you think that that's crazy? Like that City can just go, oh, we'll take Kovacic. What do we think of him as a player? For me, I really, really, really like him as a player, Kovacic. What do you guys think? I'll get to some more questions in a minute. I'm just gonna move on to hang on. I'll come to these sort of questions a bit later. Good morning and good afternoon, Ian Ferguson. How are you, sir? Hope you are well. Let's talk about the next transfer. So we've just talked about Mateo Kovacic. Now, this one isn't so much a transfer that's close. I'm just going to throw this out there, and I think most people will be Spurs fans, but even if you're not, tell me what you think about this. Now, for me, one of my biggest issues with Tottenham is that we always seem to want a really glamorous centre-half with a foreign name that's technically brilliant and can, you know, beat 8 men in a mazy dribble and score goals. However, Conor Coady is not going to be staying with Everton. And apparently the deal could be 4.5 million, or he could be available for 4.5 million. Let me ask you, as a Spurs fan or as a fan of any club, let me know what club you support when you answer this. Doesn't Conor Coady make sense as a steady 7 out of 10 each week centre-back, knows the Premier League, he's a captain, he's a leader, he's a talker, been part of a very good Wolves defence in the past. Obviously, at Everton, it's going to be slightly different because they're not that great a team. Doesn't that make sense for Spurs to bring in him as one of 3 or 4 new centre-backs? Let me know your thoughts. And I know people will probably think, oh, we must do better. But if we're bringing in 2 or 3 centre-halves, I like Conor Coady. I think he's okay. I think he's good. I think we need more solid defenders like that as opposed to constantly wanting to go for all the big names. Big up to the Garage Classics. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think, guys and girls. And by the way, I am starring questions, so do not worry. Lots of questions coming in. Interesting one. Where would Conor Coady go? Absolutely. 10-inch Alan Sibley asking a question. Come on. 139 in the chat now and only 43 likes. People are very, very tight. Equally, if you want to put in a super chat, please do. 50% of the money goes to the British Heart Foundation. And don't forget, we've got the live 24-hour charity stream tomorrow, starting at 12. There'll be over 40 YouTubers, not at once, throughout the 24 hours. Giveaways, prizes. There'll be quizzes. We'll see which YouTubers know their football and which YouTubers don't. I will obviously have all the answers, so I won't get found out. So please like, please subscribe as well. So, Conor Coady, let me get to some questions, to some answers. So, 4.5 million. Someone said, no, can't run. How cheap? Yeah, apparently 4.5 million. Again, see, this is where I feel Spurs fans are so entitled. Look, not good enough. Yeah, definitely, I'd snap him up for that. No. I agree. I'd be all over Coady. No, solid signing. I said we should have got him last season. Adam, I agreed with you last season. He's very slow, Sav. You need pace. I know, but you put someone with pace next to him, right? I just feel we need some solidarity in there. No? Phil P is saying Kovacic is a top player. Neat and tidy. Will fit in quickly at City. Of course he will. Pep will get the best out of him. John Ellis Hall, big up John Ellis Hall, is saying yes. Phil P, Coady in, not good enough from MMG0, saying not good enough from an Arsenal fan. Just so you know, MMG, I don't know if you've seen our centre halves, but like we have like Tanganga and Sanchez and Dyer and Davis and Longley. So I don't know. People that defend first, thank you. That's what I want, Phil. Some old school centre halves that defend. United Spurs of America statistically is on par with Dyer in a worse team, so I guess that's better. It's a meh for me. I don't judge players all day, every day by statistically. I watched him at Wolves and watched him for England and was very impressed with what he did. Statistics for defenders can be all over the place, all over the place. When they say number of clearances, number of tackles, number of headers, you don't know the teams they faced. You don't know the formation they played. You don't know who they were playing with. So for me, I don't really just go down the statistical route. It's not really me. I feel this is a new thing in football that we have to judge everyone by stats. Bill has said couldn't get in Everton's 11. Coady, Dyer, Mings all the same. Shite. He could get in Everton's 11. He got injured. He said he's good when you play in a deep block. My worry is he'll look similar to Dyer when playing out of the pitch. I don't think he's anything like Dyer. I think he's much better than Eric Dyer. Let's have a look. I don't mind for 4 million. That's cheap. Yeah, 4.5. Why not? The problem for me, guys, is I think we need so many centre backs that you're not going to go out there and just buy loads of top centre halves. I don't think top centre halves come to Tottenham. I think we need to be clever about it. Now, I'm not saying buy Coady and he's the answer to all our defensive problems, but I would take Coady over Dyer, Tanganga, Sanchez, Longley, and Davis. And that's where we're at as a club. Q7 said Coady not for me. Kilman, Anson, I'd take the likes of them over him. Yeah, sure. How much are Kilman and Anson going to cost is the question. I would rather Coady than Dyer as he is level-headed defender. It would be a good role model for Romero to learn from. Bingo, Phil. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Yes, everyone keeps telling me that Romero's got to learn. Coady, what I've loved about watching him play over the years, he's a talker. He talks his defence through the entire game. Watch him. He's a talker. Sometimes you need that leadership at the back. Lewis has said, will the viewers watching be able to do a quiz on the 24-hour live stream? Of course, everyone's welcome to do the quiz, my friend. Everyone. Who shall we move on to next? Philly, would I take Maguire on a free? No, I don't know. No. I'd have Coady over Maguire, if I'm being honest. But, I mean, it's not great. Not a transfer, but somebody that lots of clubs were looking at this summer. Danny Olmo has signed a new contract with RB Leipzig, so he will not be going anywhere this summer, which is a real shame because I think Danny Olmo is a top player, really good creative top player, plays for Leipzig in Spain. And he won't be going anywhere, I'm afraid. He really won't be going anywhere. Just pointing that out. And it looks like Aston Villa wanted Asensio, and it looks like PSG have beat him to their signature. And fair play for Aston Villa for going for him. Good player. But I think most players would join PSG over Aston Villa. That's no disrespect to Aston Villa. It's just PSG have got a lot of money, and you know you'd be playing with Mbappe and Neymar and the likes of. So interesting one that. Get in questions about transfers. That would be really, really good. Arsenal for Life. I said, would I take Lewis Dunk? I would take Lewis Dunk in a heartbeat. I think Lewis Dunk is the most underrated centre-back in the country. I cannot believe that absolute baboon Gareth Southgate doesn't put him in the England squad, picks players like Maguire and Dyer over him, says it all about Southgate's management ability. For me, I would take Dunk all day long. Another one, no frills, no spills, no fancy name, no sexy haircut, just gets on with it. He's a proper old school defender, and Tottenham need defenders. Tottenham, I keep hearing about what about them bringing it out? What about them being able to defend? What about them being able to put their body on the line? What about them being able to head the ball out? We need a proper leader at the back because we haven't got one. We've got very average centre-backs to poor centre-backs. Dunk, for me, would be an absolute no-brainer. Mr. Post Office, big up Mr. Post Office, has said Tottenham fans need to understand what they are. Just because they had a few years in the Champions League doesn't make them a top club. Accept what you are not above the likes of Coady. And I think this is a real interesting point. I think since Alderweireld and Vertonghen, the defenders we've had have been atrocious. I know I won't open this can of worms. Even when I look at Romero, not impressed one bit by that bloke either. I want well-known, established defenders that defend. I'd even take a Tarkowski, a defender that defends. Everyone wants these sexy defenders now. I want defenders that defend, and you'll hear me saying that a lot. Villa 1982, the best year ever. I'm taking it you were born that year, or maybe not. Said, question, what do you make of Tyrone Mings? Do you know what? Tyrone Mings, I've got no time for at all. I don't think he's a good defender. I actually saw him when I was in Barcelona, and he was the most arrogant, horrible bloke I think I've ever seen of all footballers. So not for me. No time for people like that at all. I don't rate him as a footballer either. Ian Ferguson said, what the worst thing Maguire did was leaving Leicester. I agree. Smash the likes. Lewis, you've got it right, my friend. Smash the likes. Come on, people. What do we have to do to get some likes? There's only 62 in the likes column at the moment. Let's have a look. Heard Villa are going to have a third crack at Emil Smith-Rowe. I think that would be a wonderful move for Emil Smith-Rowe. I think he's a good player. I can't see him getting the game time he needs at Arsenal. I think that would be a wonderful, wonderful move for him. Can they prize him out of Arsenal? Do Arsenal need to keep him for homegrown reasons? I don't know. I'm not an expert on Arsenal, but I think that would be a good signing. What you do know is Villa will make some good signings this year. I think they're going to be a good team moving forward. I really, really do. Reports saying Villarreal offering Samuel Chukwuemeka plus money for GLC. I mean, yeah, I just don't know when we talk about these rumours, Jacob, of Spurs signing players, who's signing that off? Like who's making these decisions? There's no manager or director of football. I'm just not sure. Is this a Levy decision? I agree, Louis. Yeah, Aston Villa are showing ambition by going for players like Asensio. I've said it. They've got money. They've got a top manager. They've got a really good team ethic down there now. I think they're going to be all right. Who else have we got? In the world of transfers? Guys and girls, tell me, please let me know in the chat. Where do you think Yuri Tielemans will end up? Just now we had that there's reports of Aston Villa would want him. Anyone else that you see him going to? Anyone else at all? Just asking for a friend. Jensen has said, this no to Ange movement on Twitter is embarrassing. It is. Our fan base is embarrassing. We rate bad players. We belittle solid managers because they're not winning things everywhere he is winning things, but because they're not in the Premier League. I don't know. I mean, look, apparently this was started by Celtic fans, but Spurs fans have joined in, as always. I think a lot of Spurs fans really, really need to have a really long, hard look at the mess we're in and what we need to do. And I'll say this every day. Where do I think Vlahovic will end up? I think it will be a Bayern Munich. They seem to be really interested in him, need a striker. Other than that, I can see it maybe being a Chelsea. I'd say maybe Chelsea, Man U, or Bayern. But then the next player I wanted to talk about was Højlund. I don't know if everyone's seen these rumours flying around today that Højlund apparently is the biggest word in apparently is the biggest word in football. And apparently Højlund from Atalanta, great young centre forward, is in talks with Man United. Apparently. I don't know. I'm not in the know. I'm just going by what I've seen. We've also got, what have we got here? We've also got, this is a big one I want to talk about, people. And I will get to some questions in a minute once we've gone through all the rumours from today. This is the big one. Mason Mount. So Fabrizio Romano has said, Mason Mount keen on joining Man United as talks are taking place behind the scenes. No issues on personal terms, but deal not advanced yet, as there's a big gap between the clubs. Chelsea keep asking for at least 80 million euros. Deal not imminent at this stage. Guys and girls, you tell me, Mason Mount, is he worth 80 million? What a crazy transfer world we live in. 80 million? Where in the Ten Hag system do we see Mason Mount fitting? Are there any Man United fans in the chat that can give me that can give me some answers as to, do they want him? Do you want him? Chelsea fans, do you want to sell him? Would anyone else want Mason Mount? £80 million? For £80 million from a midfielder, I want a lot more. I'm just being honest. I want a lot more than Mason Mount. This could be very true, Garage Classics, but it's wherever I go, whoever I speak to, a lot of our fans just in denial about what we are, mate. And that's the problem. I'll get to loads of questions in a minute. Wall QVST has said Tielemans would be good for West Ham or Brentford, mid-table to lower team. Yeah, I can see him going into West Ham. They're going to have a void there when Declan Rice goes. I think they've got a lack of quality in centre mid. I can see that being a decent move for him. Aston Villa as well, I can see being part of the squad. Yeah. So Mason Mount. Here we go. So here goes. Abdullah said maybe it's me, but I don't see the hype behind Mount. He can be a decent player, but 80 million. Yeah, correct for me. Zarspur TV, big up, has said Mason Mount is 60 million max. Jensen has said absolutely not. Rob Frank, welcome to the chat, has said not even close to 80 million. Zarspur, I'll be honest, I just don't believe in any of these rumours because we haven't got a manager and director of football. And I truly believe Hincapié will cost a bomb. I think before we look at a Hincapié, we need a leader. You can't have Hincapié and Romero playing together. We'd never end the game with 11 men. Both of them don't know the art of staying on their feet. Alejandro Perez has said 45 max, in my opinion. Proud to be a Geordie, says it's English tax. David Hall has said, no way, not 80. I agree with you. Arsenal for life has said, no, hell no. Clement, big up to you as well. Joseph Hallworth has said, way overpriced and overrated. Man U is the place where these flop footballers end up for big wages. Big statement. Big statement there, Joseph. Worth 80 million to Fat Frank only, says Bill. Yeah, Jacob, I know a few United fans as well who are like saying, if we've got 80 million to spend, is Mount where they want that 80 million to be? I'm not sure it is. Nope. Look, here we go. Straight in for Ericsson. Bit pricey for sure, though. Yeah. Look, there's a lot of people seem to be saying the same thing. Timmy's a Man U fan and has said, I'm a United fan and I don't want Mount. He's just overrated. Philly 2109, one of the Phil Army, has said Mason Mount isn't worth half of that. Fernandes and Mount playing the same position. Excuse me, I've been talking for about 5 hours straight. Need water. Leon Felix Cooper said nobody's going to pay 80 for Mount. Not even United. They need a striker and will spend big on a number 9. They already have Bruno and Ericsson. Well, I'll be honest. This is what I was thinking, Leon. I'm looking at that and going, okay, you've got Casemiro, Ericsson, Bruno Fernandes. Have they got enough? If McTominay goes as well, there's talks of Fred going. I get that they need players. I just can't see that 80 million for Mount is the one. Maddison is there for 40 million. Now, if I was Man United, wouldn't you go and snap up James Maddison? 40 million all day long. Wall QVST has said these Mount links get me stressed. Casemiro, Mount, Bruno midfield is horrible. Listen, it could be worse. You could have the Spurs midfield, my friend. David has said no Ronaldo, no Benzema, and properly no Messi in European football in 23-24. End of an era. Yeah, it is for sure. Let's hope that Messi stays at least and potentially Benzema. But it is the end of the era and we move on. By the way, I'm not ignoring questions. I've got them starred. I will get to them in a minute. As far as I can tell, I don't think there's any other major transfers going on in the world at the moment. We've talked about Asensio. Juventus have just extended Szczesny's contract for a further year. Where are we? Ajax are set to sack Johnny Heitinger of Ajax. Official Union Berlin have signed Diego Leite from Porto for 7 million. But Dortmund are still working on Edson Alvarez deal behind the scenes. Good player, Edson Alvarez. We've talked about Kovacic. We've talked about Asensio. Dusan Vlahovic for sure remains part of Bayern list, as mentioned last week, as Thomas Tuchel was a big fan of the Serbian striker. Kolo Muani in the list too. Talks with Juventus are not advanced or concrete. It will depend on price tag and the Juve new director. So look, there's a lot going on in the world of football at the moment. We've got McAllister going to Liverpool. Dani Olmo, we talked about. Igor Tudor has left Marseille. Who is this? That's Dani Olmo. We've seen that. Anything else from today? No, that should be it for today. So let me get to some questions. That's better, isn't it? Let's just all have a chinwag about football. Absolutely. Morton Barley, big up. One of my favourites said, no way is Mount worth 80 million. Didn't they learn from Bayern Maguire? Mount has had a poor season. If Mount is 80 million, then Savic is 160 million. Of course, talking about Serge Milinkovic-Savic, from Lazio. So let's go into some questions. Benjamin, Jesus Christ. Benjamin comes in and says, Sava, what the hell has happened to you? I mean, that's nice. Attack me immediately. Hello to you as well, Benjamin. Just try saying hello or shaking hands or something. What else happened to you? You want some fat bum from the Scottish Pub League. Would you take Neil Lennon as he won the treble? Raise your standards. Benjamin, unlike you, I'm not 12 years of age, okay? And what I understand is, first of all, your comparison of Neil Lennon and Postecoglou means nothing. It's absolutely pointless. It's a pointless comparison that people like you bring up to belittle Ange Postecoglou. Second of all, who do you think Spurs should be getting, Benjamin? Because Spurs are not this big, attractive club anymore. When you say raise my standards, I don't choose the manager, you absolute numpty. And I'm going to call you out for this because I hate idiots like you telling me to raise my standards. I've tried to raise my standards at this football club for 23 years. Why people were sitting back going, oh, the owners are good. And when we get the new stadium, they've now driven us to where we are now, where we are not attractive. And I am going to rant on this because I hate people like you doing this. We are not an attractive club anymore, my friend. So if you think we're getting better, great. But this isn't about me raising my standards. This is about me having a brain and understanding where we are in the pecking order now. Now, people are turning down. We don't want Potter. We don't want this manager. We don't want Rodgers. We don't want Postecoglou. Who do we want? Who do you want, Benjamin, before you come in with your attack? Who do you want? And I'll school you on whoever you say. Come on. I'll tell you what, Benjamin, I'll give you the link. Come on and argue with me why he's some fat bum from the Scottish League. Grow up. He's not a fat bum. Absolutely ridiculous. Apologies for that, people. Every now and then I see one comment that just riles me just a little bit. Let's go to some questions, shall we? I've got 18 of them stored. And first of all, let's go to the super chat. Big up, Rob Belcher. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. I said, we know the areas that need investment, but in order, where would you start spending big? For me, defense first. For me, goalkeeper and back four. Goalkeeper and back four, for sure, have to be where we start. I agree with you. Defense is a massive problem. I don't rate any of our defenders. I want new defenders all across the board. Big up, Rob. Always a big supporter. Thank you very much. Marjan said, hi, Saka. I'll take that. I've been called worse. Do you think Real Madrid have a chance to get Kane? I think if Benzema goes, it makes the most sense. Talked about this a lot. I think if you were Real Madrid, you want to go for top strikers in the world, and Harry Kane is one. So I don't see why they wouldn't. But yeah, hey, I don't know. We'll see. Indrajit has said, Sava, how do you rate Estupiñán of Brighton? I think he's immense, but he seems under the radar. Top player, done really well. Again, the Brighton scouting machine works. Really good player. Again, I think he might be one of the next on the list to go in the next year or so. Good player, very good player. Alan Sibley, big up, Alan. How are you? Said, question, Howard said Newcastle United will sign a couple of marquee signings. Who can you see them going for apart from Kane? Yeah, that's a good one, Alan. I can see them going for players like Serge Milinkovic-Savic. I can see them going for players like James Maddison. I can see them going for players like Aymeric Laporte at centre-half. And if they do, it's scary times because they've got finance, they've got a top manager, and they're in the Champions League. So that really, really worries me. It really, really does. I'll come to some more questions in a minute. But sorry about my rant earlier, people. I do get really, really frustrated when people tell me to raise my standards. But when we've, when I've supported this club for 40 years, so I really do get frustrated. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is going to AC Milan. Good move for him, I think. I think that's a good move for both parties. I will. It's just really, really silly. It's the problem is this for me, Zar. The problem is, do I want a Klopp, a Pep Guardiola? For sure. But haven't we just learned our lesson that when you bring in these managers that are used to winning, like Conte, like Jose, that we're not there and they get fed up? Yeah, they're not there. Sorry, we're not there as a club to be on their level. And yet people just constantly screaming for these top managers that will get really frustrated with Daniel Levy. We need a build from top to bottom. And these top managers don't tend to do that. These top managers tend to go to big clubs and win things. Daryl, yeah, absolutely. I agree. We have so much English snobbery in the Premier League. It's just wrong. I agree. What's to say, innocent? And by the way, Postecoglou was never been my first choice. But if we sign him, I'm not going to cry about it. What is it that people don't like about Postecoglou? Can you put in the chat? What is it that people don't like about Postecoglou? That's what I'd love to know. Here we go. And Benjamin has come back to me. I said, Sava, Nagelsmann is right there. All he wants is a sporting director to work with. Other than Sir Alex, what manager has come from the Scottish League and been a success in the Premier League? Right, Benjamin, first and foremost, when you're saying Nagelsmann is right there, you have no way of knowing that. Spurs would have to pay a huge amount of money to get him out of Bayern Munich because he's still on gardening leave with them. Yeah, when you're saying all he wants is a sporting director to work with, we don't know that for sure. My favourite for the summer was Nagelsmann and Slot. So yeah, I'd love Nagelsmann. I just don't think it's not Football Manager, Benjamin. We can't just turn around and say Nagelsmann's there, get him. I don't think it's that simple. And I know a lot of fans want it to be that simple. Leon has said, Mourinho calling Spurs the Mr. Levy club, plus Conte, plus Nuno, plus Poch. What are they telling about the club when they are being asked? Yes. So why are top managers going to come and join us again? It just makes me laugh. Fimrick would have said, it's so worrying that how many fans don't realise the mess that we're in. They still live in the era of 15, 16, 18, 19. Bang on. I think fans like Benjamin don't understand what we are. I really don't understand what we are. And he's come back, my mate Ben, and said, Napoli director has come out and said, Enrique is waiting for a Premier League club. He wants his next club to be a long-term project. Cool. All right. Cool. Does he want to come to Spurs? Bearing in mind, Benjamin, I've got no problem with Luis Enrique coming to Spurs, but I'm going to say this to anyone who wants Luis Enrique, and I'm not saying I don't, please be aware that this man plays complete tiki-taka football. Right? He plays tiki-taka. If you bring in Luis Enrique, you are going to need to be patient for years while he gets rid of a lot of players and brings in technically good players that can play tiki-taka. Benjamin, from what I've seen of your takes, you seem very rash as a fan and will be calling for his head in 3 months. Daniel, I'd love to get Nagelsmann. I'd love to get Nagelsmann. I just don't know why hasn't it happened if it was that easy. I mean, I just don't know anymore. I don't know. I've heard, Adam, that it's going to cost a lot to get him out of that contract. Yeah, absolutely. The problem is the owners and the board, but the problem is the owners and the board aren't going in at the moment. So that's why you've got to get somebody in that it's all well and good. Conte having these toxic press conferences every week, telling the truth about the board. I'm not knocking him for that, but what does that do for behind the dressing rooms? What does that do behind the scenes? I don't think it makes it right. Stuart has said, question off signings topic. What do you think of the Swiss-style Champions League season after next? Seems crazy to me. I'd rather just go straight into two-legged knockouts. Yeah, I'd rather just go into two-legged knockouts as well. I completely agree with you. I agree with you on that one. Here we go. I just don't see how Ange can walk into the Spurs dressing room and gain respect. What's Kane going to think? You do realise Tottenham Hotspur are more than one footballer. Whoever comes in needs to build. Why did Kane get Poch's respect? Why did Poch, get Kane's respect? This is absolutely ridiculous. Benjamin, go and do some research on Ange Postecoglou. He's not a 25-year-old doing his first job, mate. This is a seasoned football manager. No. Yes, I do. I think people think that Enrico and Nagelsmann will get us competing. And that is my worry. That is my worry about that type of manager coming in, is that we're not learning from what we've seen with Conte and Jose. My worry is these managers do not stick around long. They want to be winning. Jared said we will get the players that he desires. He's worked with young players and the talent in the past. Based on what though? When I hear this, based on what? We've not done it in the past. So what are we basing this off? A lot of football is emotion rather than fact and evidence from football fans. And that's where I think I differ. I'm sorry. Lots of other people do as well. But me personally, David always said those managers had to work with rubbish players who have let down 3 top managers. I don't think they've let down those top managers. If they're rubbish players, they've not let them down. They're just playing to their level, right? Look, I just think that if Postecoglou comes in, get behind him, give the guy some time. Give him some time. Daryl said on Postecoglou, I looked at his managerial stats. In my opinion, apart from Celtic, they frighten me in the leagues he's been in, all under 50%. I mean, who do you want, Daryl? Tell me. People, right now, in the chat, tell me the names of managers you want. Just give me a name. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's see. Keep them realistic, please. Keep them realistic. I'm not saying we won't. I'm not saying we won't. I'm not saying we won't. But we don't know the difference from what Nagelsmann's used to what Postecoglou's used to. So we don't know. That's my point. Is we just don't know. I agree with you, but Spurs don't have those players, do we? We don't have those players to play that style of play. So it'll be a real slow burn. Ben's back saying, if Enrique is given time, I trust him to deliver success more than Ange. See, right. Now, here's the difference. As Spurs fans, what are we judging any new manager against in the next 2 seasons? That's the question for me. What are we judging them against? Because straight away, when you're saying, I trust him to deliver success, Benjamin, do you know how far away we are from success? Do we really know how far away we are from success? So what would year 1 look like that's good for a Nagelsmann or a Postecoglou? What would year 2 look like? Year 3, year 4? I think you're living in cuckoo land, Benjamin. You've played too much Football Manager, my friend. Poch, yeah, good one. Slot, yeah, okay. Yeah, can we get some names of people that are realistic? Okay, so Benjamin wants Luis Enrique. Timmy wants Frank de Boer. Enrique, my first choice, never changed. Okay. Ruben Amorim, who's got a 20 million release clause. 20 million. Okay, so let me ask this question. People are underwhelmed by Postecoglou, but Gallardo, who's only ever managed in Argentina, never managed in this country and can't speak English, people want. See what I mean? If you're not a sexy name from a sexy league, see what I mean? Jacob Nash has gone with Nagelsmann. So no one, let's set a new record like we did with no signings in summer. Let's have no manager for a season. Brian Daigle as manager. Leon has said, I'll take any manager we've heard rumours about. Nagelsmann, Postecoglou, Slot, even Rodgers. Got Nagelsmann. Morton Barley said, at Benjamin, nobody coming in Spurs will get instant success or have 100% of the supporters backing him. This. Absolutely. Morton Barley, I've seen lots of people say they don't want Nagelsmann. He's a hipster. Lots of people don't want Enrique, right? They're saying, what's he done? Like lots of people are saying, okay, he did it with Barcelona. What's he done since? Lots of people, I'm not, this isn't me saying it. I'm saying, I've heard lots of people saying we don't want Rodgers, even though he won the FA Cup and got Liverpool second. Don't want him. People don't want Potter, even though before the Chelsea stint, lots of clubs were after him. It's, you know, I agree with you, J. Raj. I agree with you. I love the way Luis Enrique plays. That's my style of football. How would we play that? We'd need a complete new 11. I don't think any of our players can play Luis Enrique football. Phil Pierce said, Ange or Carrick, give him a go. This, absolutely. I like this account. That said, you need someone to come in and steady the ship before you can compete. This is what I don't think. This is what I don't think a lot of fans that aren't sensible don't understand. People come in and talking about winning immediately and stuff. All right, Timmy, you can stop with the Frank de Boer thing. It's fine. Something Conte and Mourinho don't do wherever they go. Just negative, passive football. Yep. Joseph said Harry Redknapp. Ben's back and said, Sav, I'm talking about in 3 years. I can't see how Ange lasts that long. Really does stink of Nuno. Does Enrique last that long? Let's have a look. I'm just going to have a look. I just want to have a look. I like this. Let's dispel some myths. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be. Right, here we go. Luis Enrique, okay. Managerial career. Right, here we go. See, this is what I mean. So he was at Roma for 1 year. Yeah, then had a year out. Then he was at Celta for 1 year. Right, Barca for 3 years. He was with Barcelona with Messi, Neymar and Suarez. Then Spain for 1 year, had a break, came back, and then Spain for 3 years. So where in that career does it suggest that he would stick around for 3 years? I know you don't want the facts, but there it is. Alan Sibley, always the voice of reason, has said we need to build, and bearing in mind our level, you may as well go for someone like Potter. I agree. I wouldn't be against that. I can't see that happening in a million years. David Moyes. I can't see Emma Hayes happening either, to be really, really honest with you. I agree. Spurs do need a director of football, then a manager. I think Levy is just 1 day too late of everything. Talk about 1 day too late. I think he's months too late. What I would say is this as well. I agree with this, Adam. Gallardo is the ultimate hipster choice. I'm not saying I'd be against him coming in, but it's funny how one guy with no experience of European football and has only done it in Argentina is wanted, but then a guy who's done it in Australia, Japan, and at national level and in Scotland isn't good enough. It just, I don't know. Dennis has said, give Ange a chance. No one knew if Potter was good. Right, I didn't see anyone asking for Pochettino to be the Spurs manager. At the time, everyone wanted Van Gaal. Everyone wanted Van Gaal. Our fans don't learn. That's all it is. Sava, that just gives us a reason for the clear out. Mate, we need to clear out anyway, whoever the manager is. I just don't know if we're gonna get in all the players that can play the way Luis Enrique does. Listen, I don't mind him, Gerard. I like him. I just don't know if we're going to do that. I agree. We need young, hungry players with a manager to help them. I agree, Dennis. Ariel has said the manager won't be here for a decade. We need them to steady the ship and maybe further down the line we can upgrade. Voice of reason, right here, the voice of reason. I do not think fans realise how far we have fallen. Hey, here we go. We don't need a new 11. Romero, Porro, Edoji, Bentancur, Basuma, Kulu, Kane, Son are all capable of playing Enrique's style. No, they are not. Benjamin, do you even watch Luis Enrique's football? Who there is capable of playing the tick-attacker that Enrique plays? Who? Are you kidding me? Benjamin, I'm starting to think you're a troll. Don't be so ridiculous. Don't be so ridiculous. That is absolutely silly. Porro, I've seen nothing to suggest he can do it. Edoji hasn't even played for the club. Right? Romero, Enrique will be very frustrated if he does what he does. Bentancur can, but he's out injured until the new year. Basuma's not that guy. Kulu, I don't know. Kane, yes. Son, definitely not his type of play. I don't know what you watch. Yeah, I don't know what you watch. Look, it is what it is. What I will say is this, just moving on from the Ange Postecoglou thing. Don't know if everyone knows this, but Postecoglou turned down the Brighton job before De Zerbi took it. Look how well Brighton do their homework. Look how well they scout players and managers. And he turned them down. Why? Because he wanted to finish the season. He didn't want to leave his club halfway through the year. So Brighton, who are fantastic at scouting managers, wanted him. But Spurs, who are terrible at scouting players and managers, he's not good enough for us because of fans in our fan base like Benjamin. Because it calls him a fat pub manager, what he said. Just so disrespectful. Absolutely disrespectful. Sorry, last airtime I'm going to give this idiot. A 2-team league as opposed to the Premier League, which is a 1-team league. Benjamin, you don't use this before you engage with these, do you? Let's go through the leagues. Germany. Bayern Munich have won how many of the last 10 titles? All of them, maybe? Maybe not one of them. PSG win every single year in France. Yeah, Real Madrid or Barca win it every single year in Spain. Man City have won 5 of the last 6. So aren't we a 1-team league or a 2-team league as well? Make it make sense, Benjamin. You're not very. Then I can't give that guy any more time. Let's move on. I want to know. I never seem to get names other than Nagelsmann and Enrique. We don't seem to get names. We seem to want to belittle Rodgers, we belittle Potter, we belittle Postecoglou, and no one can tell me what's attractive. What's attractive? Why are they coming to us? Why are these top managers coming to Tottenham? Can someone give me an idea? Why these top managers and players, so-called, will come to Tottenham? Can anyone answer it? Or are we just going to be those fans that say things like, "Oh, just go and get Nagelsmann. It's that simple." I don't know. I don't know if Basuma is. I like Basuma. I'm just not sure. I mean, if you had Basuma and Bentancur in the midfield too, I feel you need a lot more technical ability in there to play Luis Enrique's style. You think that the midfielders he just had as the Spain manager were midfielders like Busquets, Rodri, Pedri, Gavi, Dani Olmo. He's now going to be going to Bentancur, Basuma, Skip, Højbjerg, Sarr. It's we've got to be realistic about this. There we go. Jay Jr. said every manager is a risk, but it's all about limiting the risk. For me, the risk for Ange is high due to his managerial career. Couldn't you say that of any? Do you know what? I think we're lucky to be getting any managers interested in us. I think we're that much of a shambles. I think we're lucky. I truly, truly do. I agree. I agree. Son is a phenomenal finisher on his day. Anyone who thinks he's going to be able to play the link-up football that Luis Enrique plays, you need to try again. Yeah, John S. Anderson, I have. What makes me laugh is I feel like people watch Spurs, see how bad we are, see how bad the players are, see how far we've fallen from the Poch era, and then just think top players and top managers want to join us. Like they've just, I don't know, it just makes me laugh. Gallardo I rate highly, but would be such a madness for the first job for him in Europe with Spurs, could quickly ruin his reputation. Foxy, I agree. Ten Hag, the GOAT, said, Sava, can we agree the Scottish League is the same level as the Championship? Arnie Slot could have been good, to be honest. Listen, the Scottish League, just because he's managing in that league doesn't mean he can't manage here. Doesn't mean that all of a sudden his man management changes, his style of play changes. And what we need is a man manager. And all the reports you read about this guy throughout his career, he knows football inside out. He comes across very well. He's passionate. Apparently he lives, breathes and eats it. He unites fan bases. Why wouldn't we want that? Why did Brighton want it and we don't? Yeah, Bayern have won 11 in a row. Klopp was the last team to beat them to the title. The Italian league is good because they punished Juve. Otherwise, it would be a one-team league too. Yeah, the Italian league, 3 different winners in the last 3 years. Just makes me laugh. Where's Margot? Where's my Margot Robbie? Where is my Margot Robbie? Margot. Yeah, but look, you can't always say that, right? I mean, look at people. I remember being on streams and people were saying, "Who's De Zerbi?" It's like, come on, man. Like, I feel like we're so knee jerk. We're so listen. I think we deserve what we get. I really do. I truly believe we deserve what we get. This fan base doesn't deserve a lot. Not all of it, but a lot of this fan base doesn't deserve anything because we're just so in denial about what we are, about the level we can compete. I agree with this. I think it's an age thing. I think he's young. Let's have a look. Well, our players aren't fit to play any style, honestly. Forget about Enrique. We need new players. Of course we need new players, Jaraj. But getting players in for a manager that plays tiki-taka is a completely different ball game, isn't it? It's a completely different ball game. I'm all up for it. Let's get in Enrique and let's bring in 5 or 6 players this window that can all play tiki-taka. I'm up for it. Is the new director of football going to want to do that? Is Levy going to want to do that? You know, we'll see. I've got nothing against him joining. I can't say that enough. Exactly. The chance to work with Daniel Levy is what's on offer. We're going to go for another 5-10 minutes. So if you've got any questions, get them in. I'll try and get through to a few. Okay. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. Benjamin, Sava, how did Arteta get Arsenal playing tiki-taka in 3 years? Look at the team he took over is way worse than the one Enrique would take over. Benjamin, you've just answered your own question. I'm going to just put this out there and wait for you to come back to me. You don't want Postecoglou, who has won things in Japan, Australia, and Scotland and managed the national team, but you're now using Arteta as your reference points, who had never managed anywhere in his life. Make it make sense. Arsenal got in Arteta and the grumbling, the moaning, and now people like you are using him to knock people like Ange Postecoglou. How did Arteta get them playing it? Because over the years, the Arsenal owners have backed him. Do we do that at Spurs? I don't know. Do we? And when you say, look at the team he took over is way worse than the one Enrique would take over, really? The team that he took over had finished 8th. So no. Again, Benjamin, you don't really do your research, mate. You've got, listen, I'll come at you every time. Every time when you make these really silly claims. Do you want to come on? Benjamin, if I send you the link, do you want to come on and have a debate about it? Yeah? Let me know. I'd really like to know because it feels like I'm a realist and you're playing Football Manager. I agreed. I want to see beautiful football at Spurs. You just never know. As said, we at the moment can't not look at the likes of Rodgers. I live in Scotland and every Celtic fan doesn't want him to leave. They love his style of play. As you said, Savin, no one wanted Poch. This is the thing. This is one of them moments where everyone wants to be an expert right now. But in a few years, if they're all singing his name because he's brought back some good football to the club, you know, it just makes me laugh. Mohammed has said, I think we should go and get Gallardo. Why? Why should we go and get Gallardo, a man who can't speak English? Is that what we want to build the new basis we're going to build this club on is a manager who can't speak English? Come on, man. The Holy Goalie has said, I hope your board are as ignorant as most of your fan base and don't go for Ange. We don't want him going anywhere. Listen, the Holy Goalie, you probably realise a lot of our fan base are really, really entitled and ignorant, don't know anything about Ange. All they do is go, Scotland. He's in Scotland. And then they say, well, Gerrard didn't do well there. But Gerrard's not got the 20 years of managerial experience that Postecoglou has. It just, you know, I just don't know. David Clark said, I gave you a coach in your morning podcast, but you ignored it for 2 hours. David, I'll block you if you keep doing this, mate. I didn't ignore it for 2 hours. You're not the only person in my streams. There's 255 people in here right now, David. Right? So just chill, dude. You're an arse all the time. Imagine living with David. Just really, really, really. I know, Alan. He gets annoyed with me and I try and read out as much as I can. Corey boy, big up Corey. How you doing, mate? I said, Sava, chin up, my man. They're announcing the next the Celtic manager next week. Wait for him to get a new contract. Wait for him to get a new contract. Listen, it might not be Ange Postecoglou. I'm just not bothered if it is. I'm not going to sit out there and go, oh my God, I wanted Pep Guardiola. I wanted Pep Guardiola. Steve, my man, I'm ending the show.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right, man. You left me high and dry for an hour by myself, dude.
Sorry about that. No, I work overnights and I was supposed to go get my car inspected and I just straight up fell asleep through it. So sorry about that.
No worries, man. I listen. I am about to end the show though. This is just an hour special. Listen, you'll be on during the 24-hour stream anyway. So no worries about that. Listen, I am going to end the show. Listen, people, my message to Spurs fans, please. Do you know what? I was speaking to an older Spurs fan today. I won't name who. Very sensible Spurs fan, and he just said to me, patience seems to have gone. And that is where Spurs fans are at now. They've got no patience because of everything bad that's happened. And I get it. But we are a mess. Make no mistake about this. We are a mess. We are not attractive. So when we look down our nose at managers, I would look and say, if I'm Ange Postecoglou, I think it's the other way around. I'm going to go to Levy and go, why should I join you? Do you know what I mean? Why am I joining you? What assurances are you giving me? Instead, we've got Spurs fans to just keep doing this.
Silly season, bro. It's
gone mad.
It's silly. Yeah,
it has gone mad, mate. I mean, what do you make of this? Just quickly before we go. Postecoglou, why is he getting so much stick? Why is this now that Spurs are better than Postecoglou?
I think on a deeper level, it's the whole Scotland versus England thing. I think that's what it is, because people will look at the SPFL as an English person and be like, oh, it's crap. It's, the Gerrard thing gets brung up, but I think honestly it's Scotland versus England. And it's also the fact that he's probably Australian. If I think a lot of stupid things take part in this. If he was American, do you think people wouldn't be beating him with that stick? Do you think if he was Australia, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of deeper. It's the truth is, a lot of people don't know about Ange Postecoglou and his deep background in terms of, as a manager, he does this and that and all this stuff. I just think people don't know who he is, and people fear what they don't know.
Absolutely.
People fear what they don't know. It's as simple as that.
I think this is a good point, Steve. Like Phil P, big up, has said, how hard do you reckon Ange has had to work to go from Australia to Japan to Scotland? What's to say he can't make that next step?
Over a 20-year period.
Right. What I don't get, Steve, is people go, oh, can he do it in the Premier League? But can he do what? What do Spurs fans expect? Like, can he come in, get some harmony, get us playing some good football and bring some feel-good factor? Why not? Why not?
Yeah, if you give him like 3 years, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for trophies, I'm sorry, at Spurs, with the way Levy runs things, clearly he doesn't prioritize it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be sacking Mourinho 6 days before a final.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think the key thing is for me is, look, it's like saying, all right, I work for a small mobile phone company and I'm their managing director, and this company has got 5,000 employees. Yeah. And everyone's talking about me and I've done a really good job and I've built revenue and I've built these products. That's like saying, okay, now automatically I won't be able to go to Apple and do it there. Why? Surely you apply the same logic, man management skills, tactics, how you talk to players, types of signings you make. I feel like, honestly, I will beat this drum. I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill, Steve. Not on the Postecoglou hill.
With you.
Not on the Postecoglou hill, but on the hill that if we've not learned from our last two big manager signings in Conte and Jose. I don't know what will. I really don't understand. Look at this nonsense. Gary O'Neill, again, everyone's raving about Gary O'Neill. Who did he manage before this season?
And also, what does better manager mean? What does better?
Exactly.
Better, like you said, better for what? Better for watching the way they play football? Because Gary O'Neill's Bournemouth aren't like watching Barca. It's better for what? Better for who? Better for which club in this situation?
But who did Gary O'Neill manage last season?
No one.
Who did he manage the season before?
I'm pretty sure that was his first ever job in management.
Right. So Gary O'Neill, first ever job in management, keeps them up, and everyone's saying, "Oh, he should be in with a shout for manager of the year." Right. Then you look at Arteta, never managed anyone before. Now look what he's doing. But Postecoglou, with 20 years experience, he can't do it.
And he's too old. Terrible. He's too old. People will beat him with that stick. He's too old.
Steve, do you know what? At the beginning of this summer,
too young.
About 3 months ago, when Conte went whatever, one of the first things I said was, "Give me Vincent Kompany." Yeah, I said, "Give me Vincent Kompany. Give me a young, hungry manager that's worked for Pep. Yeah, that will install those beliefs." And everyone at that time went, "Too young, inexperienced." Now it's okay. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Postecoglou. By the way, I've never said he's my first choice. But when I say I wouldn't mind Postecoglou, it's, he's too old. Okay, so what are we saying here? Like, what do we want? What do we? I don't know.
It's people just gotta feel special, and they gotta have a hot take, and they gotta be controversial. They gotta be this, they gotta be that, instead of saying what they actually think. Mm-hmm. A lot of these people that are saying, "I don't want Postecoglou," saying no to Postecoglou. How many Celtic, Yokohama Marinos, how many of those matches have they watched of him manage? I'll tell you, absolutely zero. How many YouTube clips have they looked up of the guy? Zero. What do they know about the guy?
What about somebody who was a top manager in the Premier League for many years? I don't know, Mr. Arsene Wenger?
Mourinho?
Where did Wenger come from?
He came from Japan.
He came from Japan.
He went from Monaco, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And he went to go. Yeah.
So you've now had Wenger, who's come from Japan. Gary O'Neill's never managed before. Arteta had never managed before. De Zerbi, people, I remember going, who? People who didn't watch the Italian League, who? What? Why? Oh my God, who's this guy? And Steve, Brighton offered Postecoglou the job, and he said no. So Brighton get it wrong, do they? Just madness, man. Just madness.
No, it's again, bro. It's all just ignorance. People fear what they don't know, and they don't want to learn, because football is only played in England for some people. Football is only played in England, and people forget that a lot of the league is talent from outside of England. They just have a vacuum memory. I bet most of us would have turned our noses up at Eddie Howe. Boom. Now we just snapped your hands off.
How many people did turn their noses up at Eddie Howe? And look at the job he's doing. I feel like people want to be sensational. And what I'd say is this.
Yes. Controversial. Hot take.
Is what we're saying this, right? Let's say Spurs get Postecoglou. Hypothetical game, Steve, right?
Yeah.
Are we saying Postecoglou comes to Spurs and all of a sudden, all of his management experience, forgets how to manage a team, forgets how to coach a team, forgets the tactics, forgets to buy players, forgets how to make good substitution? Like, really? Surely he's done it at that level. You just move up a level. I'm baffled. I'm just baffled by this fan base, mate. I really, truly am.
I am too. I see a lot of Spurs fans. Like you said, I love the phrase you use. I love the phrase because I love that phrase too. Delusions of grandeur.
It is.
Delusions of grandeur. Holier than thou. I am above this Postecoglou guy at Celtic, which, by the way, Celtic is one of the bigger, more recognizable clubs in the world. You know, along with a Boca and a River, and just because it's not in the Premier League doesn't mean that they're not a big club with a huge following and history and etc. and the fan pressure. Like,
see, Daryl, when you're saying the only fear I see is us going mid-table, mate, we're there.
Yeah, you're already there,
Daryl. We're there.
What's the difference?
Whichever manager comes in, there is a massive build. This notion that a new manager comes in and gets us back to fourth in Champions League football, again, delusion, not from you, Daryl, but it's this delusions of grandeur. Eddie Howe was one of the favourites for the Spurs job before Conte got the job. I'm sorry, before Nuno got the job. Before Nuno got the job. And Spurs fans, oh my God, no, this guy's terrible coach. Oh my God, he's only done it at Bournemouth.
Oh my God.
Right? And we don't learn. We still just belittle every single manager that comes along.
Instead of looking at, because obviously I love Newcastle, and when we hired him, I was like, this makes sense. Because I liked watching that Bournemouth team play football. Yep, Scottish Cup final. Yeah, I'll be watching that. They're playing Inverness Caledonian, I think. I'll be watching that. In terms of Eddie Howe, as soon as he got hired, I was like, I like this. And I was like, you know what? I see a manager who has taken a team from a very low level, bottom of League Two. A lot of fans by the PR and the club sells them. Yes, spot on. The PR of club. Yes, absolutely. Anyways, I saw Eddie Howe take a club from an extremely low level, bottom of League Two, and he went up a level. Now it's League One, Championship, Premier League, and he maintained the Premier League for 5 seasons, and he did get relegated, yeah, but look what he did. He took them from nothing to something and kept them in the Premier League for 5 straight seasons, and in all 5 of those years, only once were people right about him getting relegated, and that was the last one. That's what I immediately saw. And I also saw someone that took time out of the game and refused the Celtic job, because he didn't. I'm not exactly sure. I think it had something to do with Jason Tyndall and the backroom stuff. But he took time to go and learn the cultures of different, not just footballing teams, but rugby. He talked with Diego Simeone about defensive tactics, and look at what he's done. I was just like, this makes sense, because Newcastle are at a very low level. We were bottom 19th in the Premier League in January, and he took us from this level, mid-table finish last season, boom, now this level. The question with Eddie Howe is how many more levels can he take us up? But that's why we hired him, because he can take a team from one very, very low level to a very high one. The highest he finished at Bournemouth, I think, was like 8th or 9th.
Listen, the thing is, what we're suggesting is that no human beings have room for growth. Do you know what I mean? We're saying that because that's where you manage now, you have no room for growth. You can't be better. Because Postecoglou's in Celtic, it means absolutely unequivocally he can't handle managing in the Premier League.
Nope.
Anyway, listen.
It's like the Jedi Force. As soon as you enter England, it's just going to hold you back. It's just going to hold. It's just you can't do anything. Postecoglou, because that's how amazing the Premier League is, and that's how crap England. Bro, that's what it ultimately boils down to. England and Scotland, they don't like each other in the international scene, and ultimately in football they don't either. And I think that also plays a part in it. I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Young plays football. Absolutely. Wenger's managerial history before Arsenal was Nagoya, Grand Passat, Monaco, and Nantes. If he was appointed in 2023, people would say he wasn't good enough for France. Listen, this is my point. I'm not sitting here cheerleading Postecoglou that he's the only one. But if he does come, get behind him. Yeah. He actually, insert any name you want at the beginning of this sentence. X will need years to sort out this mess at Tottenham. what will happen is if they bring in Postecoglou, some fans will go, "Oh, see, he didn't get Europe. Awful year, didn't get Europe." And this is where we're at.
Also depends on what the media might be a bit harsh on him too. If anyone wants to look into what Postecoglou is about, yeah. But you know what? People who already heard that he's a Celtic manager and that he manages in Scotland and he's Australian and he hasn't managed Real Madrid and Barca and all these guys. They won't look it up because they don't want to learn. They think football is played exclusively in England. That's the problem.
Yeah,
some people.
Last thing I'll say on this: at the end of the day, look, all the top managers didn't get to be top managers overnight. They all started somewhere. They've all learned. They've all moved. Yeah. Just because Postecoglou's had a less orthodox route, had an unorthodox route to getting over to Europe and possibly the Premier League, doesn't mean he can't manage.
Absolutely.
What I really like about him, when I watch him interviewed, he just looks like a real good guy. He talks well. He's honest. Everyone I've spoken to as a Celtic fan, they tell you that he just lives and breathes his job. He doesn't ever stop. And people go, "Oh yeah, but anyone can win the league in Scotland." Well, okay, but that can't be a stick to beat anyone. Look, we're going to go. That just leaves me to say, Steve, thanks for joining an hour late. It was very nice of you, mate.
I feel terrible, man.
Terrible. Don't be silly. Don't be silly. It's all good. Listen, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm sure you will do. Please subscribe on your way out of this show. What I would say is for anyone that doesn't know, and I'm sure most of you do by now, we have got a 24-hour live stream for the British Heart Foundation charity starting tomorrow at 12 o'clock, 12 p.m. Friday through to 12 p.m. Saturday. Staying awake for 24 hours is a really, really difficult thing to do. We're going to have over 40 YouTubers across that 24 hours. There'll be lots of conversations about football, sport, food. I don't know, it will just be a lot of conversation. Please join us for as much as you can. Please be ready to donate. There are two ways to donate. There's the Just Giving page, which is the official British Heart Foundation giving page. If people do want to donate via Super Chats, then I put the money from the Super Chats straight into the Just Giving page. People can go back and see my Just Giving page, by the way, if anyone needs proof that I then do that. You can see the lump sums going in from me. Please join us then. Thank you very much. We're 21 away from 5,400. Smash that subscribe button, smash the like button. And as always, here's a video of a team winning a trophy. See you later.
And here comes Hurst. He's got some people are on the pitch. They think it's all over.